I actually want to kind of come on here and add something because I think what I posted is like more a representation of where I was at maybe a few years ago, of being like, oh, like this is what could be, but we don't have that. But I feel like it's important to just add the point that like recently I feel like come into contact with that user manual, or the sketches towards that user manual, which is in the work I'm doing with my teacher John Churchill. And I'm in the second year of the program as a student, but I also work for him and for his wife Nicole, and we have an organization called Planetary Dharma. And yeah, that's what it's trying to be, is like a planetary dharma. Dharma just means like the way or the truth, or a system of wisdom. It can mean a bunch of different stuff, but it's used in this context to mean like wisdom, basically, like planetary wisdom. Like, what's the wisdom of all the different cultures? And it's, I spent a few years basically in my room at home, starting in COVID, and then after I left Stanford and stuff too, like just sitting there being like, all right, what's all the knowledge that human beings have from all these different cultures and all these different times and all these different places? How does it all fit together? How does it synthesize? Like, because most disciplines are like in silos, right? Like, they're actually, science actually isn't talking to spirituality, isn't talking to these different disciplines. They're not actually communicating and sharing their findings with one another. Like, the meditating homies aren't actually sharing their findings with other homies. Shaman homies aren't sharing their findings with science homies. Like, everyone's kind of has been doing their own thing. And we've had this amazing globalization and internet and mixing, but it actually takes body minds, like it actually takes like human homies to like digest the information and be like, wait, how do we actually make sense of this? What's like a coherent story? So I thought I was like unique in doing that, or one of the homies that was unique in doing that. And then I found, oh my gosh, there's actually so many homies that do this. This is like a whole scene. It's called Integral, and there's all these people. I thought it was this one guy who did it, Ken Wilber, and then I was like, wait, there's actually all these other homies who have read Ken Wilber and have gone beyond him, and like have made these incredible maps of how you combine Eastern contemplative stuff, like the insights of meditation. Like, is enlightenment actually real? Like, do you actually believe in enlightenment? Like, I actually do. I think that's a real thing that happens to homies. That's kind of crazy. Like, shouldn't we like think about that for a second and try and say, okay, what does that mean? How does that relate to evolution? How does that relate to other spiritual traditions? How does that relate to, or let's look at the other spiritual traditions. Maybe they actually are talking about enlightenment too, and they are, right? They all have these mystic traditions where they're actually training people to relate to reality differently, which results in a state that is less suffering. It happens. So anyways, all of this is to say, I feel like in the stories that I posted, it's kind of like, I was just kind of like tight about the fact that you go to a natural history museum and there's these incredible findings, there's these incredible things, and it's kind of just presented lackluster without any kind of education on how to be human. And it's interesting because the Natural History Museum was right next to this complex of 3 religious buildings, like a mosque, a church, and a synagogue. And then it was also next to this like immersive art installation called Team Lab, where like there was all this like crazy immersive art stuff. And I was just sitting there being like, what if you combined all 3 of these plus like actual wisdom, like what if the spirituality was included with the natural world, and it was presented in like an immersive way, as opposed to just like a room with chairs and like a cross in the front. And, not to say that that's not a powerful experience and that isn't a beautiful technology that we've created as humans, but it's like, it's just funny that we have these different wisdoms like sitting right next to each other in physically different buildings. It's like, oh, you want to learn about the natural world? Like, yeah, go over there. And like the history of evolution? Yeah, go over there. Oh, you want to like learn about spirituality and like God and religion and waking up and shit? Yeah, go over there. Oh, you want to like have a kind of transcendent, like immersive experience? Go over there. But to me, it's like each one actually has something to offer the other ones. Like the immersive experiences, to me, they fall kind of flat, because it's like, okay, it's just like a huge color, wow, or like, wow, it's a bunch of balloons, wow, crazy. It's interesting, but it's like, it's devoid of like actual wisdom. Like, what's actually the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool for Instagram, but it's like, okay, I'm in a room full of balloons, or I'm in a room that's all one color with this giant orb bouncing around. Okay, interesting. And then the Natural History Museum, it's like, okay, we evolved, I guess, and like the universe came into being and it has these patterns that guide it, and okay, and then it's like, okay, what do we do with that? I guess back to the world, like there's no point. It's just like this, look at this crazy T-Rex. It's like, actually, there's something to learn from the T-Rex. Like, if you want to learn shit from the T-Rex, you can actually learn shit from the T-Rex that applies to your daily life. Like, actually understanding the fact that dinosaurs were on the planet for 160 million years, that actually should impact your life. I think there are ways to have that be integrated into your life and understand, holy fuck, like, put it into perspective, what's actually going on this planet, and have a deeper understanding of what it means to be alive and what it means to be in a human body and where the human body comes from, and that we you know, our ancestors, the little shrew homies, coexisted with the dinosaurs for a very long time. It's crazy, right? So, and then there's the house of God, which is like, you know, kind of this other thing. And it's just like, there's a synthesis that I feel like wants to happen, but people in the mainstream aren't doing that synthesis. But there are people that are not in the mainstream who are doing that. And I found my way over to them because I'm very interested in that, as you can tell by this 5-minute, 23-second video. And yeah, I just wanted to put in a word of gratitude to my teachers and just like put in a hopeful word of like, no, like it's being worked on. Like, don't worry, don't worry. Like this year in our class, like there was literally a class, you know, or a series of classes that was basically like a "you are here." It's like, all right, like strap in, like you're in a human body. Like that's kind of crazy. Like you're alive right now. You're going to die. Like there are certain laws that govern existence, like karma, you know, like cause and effect. Like you do things, you have to reap the rewards of those things, you know, like, okay, like you're going to die. Let's actually like contemplate that for a while. Like let's just like sit here and contemplate the fact that this is going to end. Like that's an important first step, you know. And there's a whole sequence of them, and there's a way, and you know, there are wisdom traditions that have done this for a very long time. But it's one thing to understand that we need a user manual. There's another thing to actually have a program that goes through it and teaches that. And I think, you know, Planetary Dharma is still even in its infancy. Like the fact that you have to be a part of a multi-year cohort and it's online. Like I think in the future, you know, we're going to figure out how to teach this stuff a lot better and make it really fun, you know, and make it an immersive experience, right? And maybe not just an hour, maybe it's somewhere you come every week, you know, like a church or something like that, but it's teaching you how to be a human being. And it's like, all right, you know, this week we're going to learn how to like calm the nervous system. Okay, this week we're going to learn about the history of our people. That, you know, it's like we need to be educated. Like we need to be educated as a species. Like it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like public education, it's not enough. Even private education isn't enough. I went to Stanford and they don't even teach you this shit. They just have you like read stuff, and no one's willing to actually complete the punchline. You know what I'm saying? Like you learn about evolution. I learned about a ton of evolutionary shit at Stanford. That's why I know certain things that I know. And like they never complete the punchline. It's just like academic facts. You know, I took classes on you know, Hinduism and Buddhism in the religious studies department, and they're scholars, right? They're like studying the religion like it's like a dead thing. They're studying it like it's like a series of facts. Like, oh yeah, there's this goddess, and yeah, there's this practice that they did in 12th century. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like these are meant to be enacted. Like a goddess, sure, yes, it has an image, it has a shape, whatever, but a goddess, what is a god? What is a goddess? What is a deity? It's a quality of awareness. It's a quality of experience. We're talking about attributes of your own beingness right here and now. We're not talking about a being that was venerated in 8th century Chola dynasty India. We're talking about our relatives, our friends, our dear relatives on a different continent at a different time discovered something about reality, about the human experience, that they put into this symbolic form called a deity that they then venerated because it's important to venerate, and most of the masses are not spending time studying and understanding the depth of these things, but the priests understand what this is. It's like, okay, this is a quality of my own awareness. This is gentleness, or this is compassion, or this is stability, or this is penetrating insight and clarity, or this is metacognitive awareness. You know, these are real things that are in our experience right now. So anyways, enough of the rant. I just wanted to come on here and just share some extra thoughts for those of you who made it to the end of a huge slide. Yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts that come up.